Hello everyone, Matt from Brooks here, and in today's video we're going to take a look at a very interesting and distinctive mock build that I just completed. A power plant. Stay tuned and check this out. Welcome back everybody, and in today's video, this is a little different. This is not something that, as far as I can tell, you would ever see in anything LEGO or alternate brands as far as I know at this point. This is a 100% fully custom mock build. I designed this initially in the Bricklink Studio program to get a very rough outline and idea of how I wanted this to look. It changed obviously during the build process, but the fundamentals are here. First off, the inspiration for this build comes from an actual power plant that is actually very close to where I work. I'm not going to dox myself on YouTube or anything like that, but the real basic design of this, kind of the scheme of this, comes from that power plant, including the two stacks being located where they are basically. Although technically they're behind the building as opposed to coming through it like that. But nonetheless, a lot of inspiration and thoughts about how to do that finally come to fruition with this build. This is going to go into my Lego City, and I have a custom space worked out for it right in the corner of the, I guess we'll say technically my closet section of the room, where the industrial section of my revamped city is going to be going as I start to develop that. There will be a plate in front of this build. This is on a 32 by 48 style, or a 16 by 48 style plate, my bad. But it will be on another 48 by 48 plate in front of this, I think. We'll have a train rail going through here for the freight train, plus some other stuff. But I do intend on having a little bit more infrastructure for this in front of the physical building itself. But with that, let me try to explain to you as best I can what's going on with this build. Alright, so first off, I did put a little bit of lighting in here. It's pretty basic, just as my power pack goes out on me here. It is pretty basic. I've got one light in this section, one light in the other section, and one in the middle. I did not bother with the lower floor. I did detail everything inside, and that was a major part of the build process. Both of these major sections, with the focus on the concrete, the idea here was these are the power generation areas. I'm going to try to take off one of the roofs here eventually and show you inside what's going on with that. The central section here this is kind of the office space on the first floor, and the control center for the plant is on the second floor, so we'll look at that as well. But let me get one of the roofs off here, and we'll try to look inside and see what's going on. Alright, we've got one of the roof sections of the generation sections removed, and we're going to have a look inside here. I'm going to take out this ladder as well that I forgot to off screen. Alright, so what's going on in this build? Exactly. So the premise of this is that this is a natural gas-based power plant, but I think you could probably do a lot of the things I'm doing here and have it possibly be other things as well. But the real basic premise of what I'm doing is I've created a cycle of different processes here. And it is a cycle because everything interconnects together here. I've created a cycle of processes that basically run, in theory, with water. So this is a large water and steam collection tank, which appropriately will run up through the stacks to pipe out excess steam as part of the process. But the idea here is, you can see it right over here. So this right here is basically the inlet for natural gas to come into the generation area. That gets piped into this other unit. The yellow unit is to represent a kind of a boiler system, for lack of a better description. So the bottom is the gas area, which basically just fuels fire. That will boil the water that comes in from the tank. In here, that produces steam. Steam is collected up through the top piping, and that is fed through this other piping into this other thing, which is meant to be a turbine generation system. So it goes in the one end. The steam feeds through a set of turbines or fans, basically. It's kind of like, think a jet engine with rotating fans. That's what this is meant to be. And that generates the power. And then the excess steam and all that's picked up through this piping and carried back over, where it's cooled down, and excess stuff is also let through the stacks as well. But the power is generated through here and then goes up these main conduits into the main system. I thought about running some extra stuff here, which is why you see those pieces connected there, but decided against it for now. So I'm happy with all the detail I have. But the idea is that the conduits run up to this point of exchange to go out from the building on both sides. I do have plans of connecting other stuff here from that other plate to that connection point to give the indication of like a power station, transmission lines, whatever kind of stuff. But it's not gonna run through the entire city. It's just gonna run down into the ground here, basically in front the front plates. But both sides are basically like this, with a small control panel down here. There's a worker, you can see you're watching that panel doing some stuff. Both sides are like the same thing here. They're just basically reversed built for both sides. So there is a door on the first floor to get into this for doing work at that level. And then I do have, I have these ladders I put in both sides to serve as kind of a gantry walk from the second floor, so they can check other stuff that's higher up on the systems here. In theory, I don't really have it really mapped out too complex. There is a connection for lighting in here, so that I can light this up. As you saw, it did have a yellow light in here, which I think is appropriate atmosphere. But yeah, this part right here did take me a while to do. I did it over the course of a couple streams and some offline work to finalize this process. But in the end, I'm honestly really happy with how this detailing came out. And for the size of the space I'm working with on both sides, I feel like it worked out really well. It could have gotten a lot more complex. I'm not looking to go that level of depth and complexity. This gets the idea across, and I'm really happy with it. Let me go ahead and put everything back on, and we'll look at the control center. Okay, this is a look at the control center section. Pardon the wiring, it's not perfect with the way that I do it-yourself wiring here. Again, courtesy of Blinky Bricks, not sponsored, but definitely want to shout them out where I can. Quality parts. It's tough to run stuff in builds like this without dedicated channels for wiring. I do the best I can, and since this is going to be sealed up, you won't really see much of this anyways, so it works out okay. The main focus was to make this look like there's some kind of panels of controls for both sides, a lot of different electrical things going on. So I had a bunch of stickers I wanted to use. I put them on some 2x2s along with some generic 1x2 printed tiles as well. So we got a couple of plant workers here that are watching gauges, making sure everything is good with the systems, that they're running well and within the line. And then the other side, this is kind of going to be the master control panel for everything in the system. So we have a couple of other workers here that are watching all the main things, controlling, and this is also going out to the grid as well, on top of the internal production at the plant. So they're keeping an eye on stuff, making sure everything is good. This is kind of the head of the plant in a way. She's making sure everything is running properly, while another person is watching on as she does all that stuff. So I got a couple of workers in here. We got them. I do have a couple workers spread throughout the plant. Also in the lower section, I'm going to open this door, and then this part is not lit, so it's going to be a little tough to see. If I can get this door open, there we go. I'm going to flip on this light here. There is a reception desk. We have a lady that is checking people in and watching generic stuff with the plant, kind of the running things. There's a worker over there talking to her. Right here in the front, we've got an keypad, scanner, just kind of a warning light, a couple of overhead lights, and I did include a couple more stickers of various sorts that I had, just for more decoration for it. And I'm pretty happy with how this all came out and how it looks. it met my expectations pretty well. So again, this is normally capped, so you won't see inside here, but I'll just give you another look here without the lights turned on in here. A couple of access ladders to climb up to the second floor. I just kind of walled those off a little bit using some brackets and a couple of those minifigure pieces. Access doors on both sides. And again, the other section here is the same as what we saw in the previous section there, so it's not really worth sharing that. Oh, and a quick look around the back of the building while I'm thinking about it. Just a lot of masonry brick. Couple of access panel doors. I still gotta find a door for this one here. I know I've got one somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. And then a door here that, in theory, could be opened up for access to certain things. Just kind of the principle of having something to break it up a little bit. This will be flush against the wall, so honestly it won't really be accessible well anyway, but it's just kind of the guiding idea of how it works. That's going to do it for now for my look at my custom Lego natural gas power plant for my city of Brooksville. This is something that I designed for a while, finally executed on the build. It took me a number of sessions to complete it, but I'm super happy with it. I think it basically encapsulates the vision that I had, with the inspiration again from a real life plant near where I work. I bet if they saw that, they'd be like, oh yeah, okay, we can kind of see that. But anyway, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you have, be sure to follow me on Twitch at Brooks Bricks, where I spend many streams every week building great stuff just like this with a great group of people. Lots of fun. And I do simulcast on YouTube as well, so make sure if you haven't, that you're following, click that like button, notification bell, comment, top below, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Until next time, bye for now.